I'm Tia Borden with MiningIR. Beside me is Tony Manini of Asiamet Resources. Tony, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's good to be here.
And you came from Australia.
All the way from Australia.
And are you enjoying London so far?
I'm enjoying London, bit of jet lag, but pushing through that, and we've had a busy day so far and it's going well.
Good. Now can you tell us a little bit about Asiamet and what our investors should know about the company?
Sure. So Asiamet is a copper company. We are listed here on the AIM. We operate in Indonesia. We have two projects. The first project is what we term the BKM project. BKM project's at the final stages of feasibility study, and that is a project which will go into project, post the feasibility study, into project financing next year, and then hopefully by the second half of the year into construction, and looking to produce 20,000 tonnes of copper cathode into the Indonesian markets within about 3 years.
And what is Indonesia like as a mining jurisdiction?
Well, Indonesia is a very large mining country, so a huge component of the GDP in Indonesia is in resources. I think a lot of people are probably unaware. I think now it's the #1 nickel producer in the world. I think it's close to the #1 largest coal producer. That's historic. It's a very large producer of copper and gold, and the government's got a very strong push to develop a powerhouse battery metals, EV, energy transition sector in country. So it's booming. The economy's booming. And the metals industry, the metals and mining industry in the country is booming. So, lots of things happening there across that whole space. Yeah.
Can you share some of the success that you've had over the last year?
So, in terms of Asiamet, as I mentioned earlier on, we're coming to near the end of the feasibility. The major things really that have happened early in 2022, this year. We undertook an 8,000 metre drill program on the KSK property. It was extremely successful. We expanded the resources by circa 50% through that drill program, discovered a pretty significant gold deposit. We have a large polymetallic deposit, and all this sits right next door to the copper development project that we're finishing the feasibility on. So that was a pretty major value equation. I think about $1 billion of in situ metal was discovered in that program.
Wow.
And then the feasibility work, as I said, has been ongoing, and we're coming to a conclusion on that. Some very positive outcomes from that. So it's been a big year in that respect. In addition to that, we brought on a new CEO about 6 months ago, a very experienced guy in Indonesia and in mine builds. And particularly copper leaching, which is what our project is. So to be able to attract someone of that calibre to the business was a major coup for us, and he's the guy that's really going to drive this forward into production. And then we introduced also during the course of the year a major Indonesian group, large contract mining infrastructure build Indonesian company as a major shareholder in the business. So very long-term supportive shareholder for us, is critical to being successful in Indonesia. So a combination of all those things, we're well set up.
And what's 2023 going to look like for you?
2023 gets even better, actually. So
well, that's good. That's a great thing.
Yeah. So as I said, the feasibility study is due for completion shortly. We move into project financing. We put the debt finance together, then the equity piece, and hopefully in the second half of the year, as I mentioned, we press the trigger on construction of the 20,000 tonne copper mine. So there's a lot in front of us. We're quite well funded. We've got about $5 million in the bank at the moment, and that'll take us through the first part of the year, and then ultimately we move through that project financing and press the button on the development.
Can you tell us about some of the catalysts that investors should be aware of?
Yeah, so I keep reiterating the feasibility. So the completion of the feasibility is obviously a big one. Investors are waiting for that. We'll have that done very soon. Then clearly the second catalyst is the engagement of banks for the project finance. getting the project finance in place. I think they're going to be major catalysts. That's where, I guess the doubters will say, okay, this project's real, the economics look good, it's financed, it's going to get built. So they're pretty major, I think, triggers in terms of, the way the company's viewed and triggers for the share price to re-rate.
Tony, is there any other information that you'd like to share with our investors?
Look, I think probably the key takeaway really is that within Asiamet, we've got a team that's done all this before, so we're not new to this. So we've got the capability, we've got extremely good assets, and I think if you look at where we are today on any historical metric, the company's pretty undervalued. So I think it's a good time for investors who are interested in copper growth stories, particularly in Asia, with people who know what they're doing. It's a good time to get set.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you to you.
Thanks, Tony.